to know. As far as I can go, rest assured the way will lead me far from home. Let's sail this world, the water beneath me is so clean, is so neat, is so pristine, splashing over me. Let's sail this world.
All right. Welcome, everybody. We are live with episode 20. Big 20. We did it. Episode 20 of Irresponsibly Long. Did you ever think we'd get here, Eric?
Of course I did, man. I love this show. But thank you for holding it down in my absence the last couple weeks. You did a great job.
Yep, we had a 12-hour episode last week. I don't know if you saw.
Yeah. I was waiting for the Easter egg when you come back on and drop a
Okay, so it's currently our most watched YouTube episode ever, and I'm just like, is this a hack? Like, you just leave it running for the whole week? Just accumulate 5,000.
Yeah, is that really helping our numbers? Good job, man.
This can't be a thing. Yeah, somebody. I saw somebody in the comments that they're like, "Oh, I watched the whole thing, thinking there was an Easter egg, but didn't see any." I think he was joking, but
Yeah. By the way, I am here despite the fact that my beloved San Diego State Aztecs are playing in the Sweet 16
yes, the chat was
simultaneously.
very concerned
Yeah.
with you, actually.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a blessing because we're going to get destroyed by UConn. I feel
Sweet
like.
16. I didn't even know the tournament was going on yet. That's where my head is at.
Yeah,
I
you're
have no idea.
fully locked into
Was
your
this
charts.
like week 2?
Yeah, this is the second weekend now.
All right. Wow. Shows you what I know. Anyway, big what's up to everybody who is joining us live right now on the YouTube. I see some of our favorite faces in there. What's up, Ollie? What's up, Feech? What is up, Noah? Chris? Hookham's here. Apparently, he's watching this with the volume off just for the charts because he's got the game on.
Nice, Hook'em.
I love it. If you guys are listening to this on, I don't know if I don't know if the episode went live to Spotify or Apple last week because you usually do that and I forgot about it. But this one should be on Spotify and Apple again this week. Sorry about that. If you are listening, consider either watching it on the YouTube for the beautiful charts or joining us live. We do this live Thursdays at 5 Pacific time. You were in North Carolina. You had a good little trip there.
Yeah, we were celebrating with Mina's family. It was the Persian New Year, Nowruz. So we were out with Mina's family and had a great time.
I love that everybody has their own New Year.
I know, the culture and the customs. It's all really cool.
Persian New Year seems way sicker than what I usually do for New Year.
Well, yeah, it's 13 days long. And when you're sort of the younger generation, when you're not the older generation, you get given a lot of money and stuff. So those are cool things.
Cool. Wow. I usually just get a hangover. Money's sick. Yeah, I had a nice day. I've been doing so much trading. I took the morning off and just played some pickleball.
You deserve it, man.
Yeah, I dominated today. Dominated. I've been drilling pretty hard. I've been working on the dinks and the donks and the.
Did you play against Bitcoin David?
No, he was not there today.
Okay. Well, I caught up on your guys' episode from yesterday, and it was really good, man. Great.
Yeah,
great episode.
I really enjoyed having the Bitcoin dynamic on the Alfalfa Pod last night. It was a good discussion. It was a new kind of twist on, it's a lot of stuff we've talked about over the years, but we had a interesting, different perspective. And I think if you guys haven't listened to it, I don't even think it's live yet, but if you missed it live last night, definitely check out that episode because there were some good points brought up by David about the future of Bitcoin, especially with Bitcoin L2s, how that might be affecting our investment thesis on Ethereum and some other stuff. So definitely worth checking out. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in this episode. First, though, we're going to jump into something you and I were talking about off the air, and it was intriguing me. You were telling me you're making some money selling the 0-day options on one of the most volatile stocks around MicroStrategy.
Yeah. So MicroStrategy is something that I've always wanted to own and just never got my chance to buy it, and it just got away from me. So what I typically do is like sell cash secured puts on this. So today the volatility, or the implied volatility, was so outrageous that I was getting, for like a 40-something% out of the money contract expiring this afternoon, I was getting $490 per contract. And I posted in the Discord under the Naked and Afraid channel, if anybody wants to follow along there.
There's some degeneracy in the Naked and Afraid channel. You guys are doing some options things.
Yeah, so I don't think that this strategy is particularly degenerate, because one, like 40% out of the money in one expiring today is pretty safe, I would imagine. And then also, like, the way I'm thinking about it too is like, okay, so if the price drops below my 990 strike, then I got to buy these shares. But if you look at like the NAV of the Bitcoin holdings on MSTR's balance sheet, that Bitcoin alone would be worth like $800 some in Bitcoin.
Oh, interesting.
So like I feel like I have a margin of safety just there. Like I'm kind of like buying the Bitcoin at that point.
Although the Bitcoin, if Bitcoin were to go down, would be worth less than $800.
Yeah,
presumably.
True.
But it's a weird thing, because normally you're writing options on stuff that trades during New York hours, right? And so the market opens and then whatever happens. But like Bitcoin has already been trading overnight in London and in Asia. So you've already seen what the price has been doing overnight. And the only way you get really screwed is if you kind of come in and things are kind of normal, but then like in the middle of the New York session, like the whole market dumps like 20-25% or something, probably is what would get you under in MicroStrategy.
Well, I think there's that is definitely a component of it, right? These like Bitcoin and MicroStrategy trade with a pretty high correlation. But I also think that, if the Bitcoin holdings are only worth $800 some a share, and this thing's trading at 1,700, there's a massive premium on the MSTR shares, right? And I think that premium can narrow independent of what's going on with Bitcoin. So you're exposed to that, I think, more than the price of the Bitcoin.
I see. But like there would have to be some news event during the day that specifically affects MicroStrategy and that premium.
Yeah.
I mean, 40% is a big...
It's a big move.
It's a big move.
For a day. I mean...
It's a tempting trade, because if you do this like one contract a day for the whole year, I mean, you're basically going to make like $150,000 or something probably.
Yeah, but the volatility is not always that high, so the premiums aren't always that high for that far out of the money. Mm-hmm. But this is typically what I'm doing every week, and then I take those proceeds and I just buy IBIT shares with them. So I'm just stacking sats.
Yeah, I mean, the MicroStrategy options contract is a big boy options contract, right? It's probably about $170,000.
Yeah,
right? So you have to have a lot of cash to actually secure this put.
Yeah, so I keep cash around, right? I always like to have some cash, and I have enough cash to secure one of those options contracts, but then I also eat into my margin, so it's like secured by the portfolio. And then, you're paying the margin rate on it as well, so it's kind of like eroding you, but my margin rate is...
So if you're writing these like covered calls out a week, you can't just also, use up all your margin on the MicroStrategy trade, because you've already got that going.
Yeah,
on.
you got to be careful. You got to be careful on what you're deploying toward.
I mean, I gotta tell you, it's pretty tempting to just wake up and like print $500.
Yeah,
that's nice. Who
it's
doesn't
not
want to
bad.
do that?
Well, you print $500 in Sats, really, in Bitcoin. That's even nicer.
Yeah, it's that old nickels in front of a locomotive thing, right? Because you're $500 versus hundreds of thousands of dollars.
But I want to buy MicroStrategy anyways. That's the point. Like
Yeah.
I do want exposure to this thing because it's just flying. Do we think it will continue to outperform Bitcoin from here? I don't know. But if I can get it on a 40% dip, then I feel pretty good.
I've been writing calls on it as a strategy, because it's sort of just a portfolio hedge to me, because I am so long, Bitcoin, or basically things that are exposed to Bitcoin. And obviously MSTR has been ripping relative to Bitcoin. I feel like that can't keep up, and I feel like that has kind of maybe peaked. It was down bigly today when Bitcoin was doing all right. It looked like down double digits today.
Can I ask you about that? So when you're writing calls, are you going like at the money there, or are you going out of the money? How are you playing that?
No, I'm just doing like 2 standard deviations.
Okay,
out of the money. Just, the type of thing where like if I lose on that trade, or the rest of my portfolio is up a lot more.
Yeah, you've made a bunch of money on your Bitcoin long.
So my brokerage account's taking like a big old bullet hole in it, but like, the spot bags are doing okay.
Yeah.
So just like an interesting way for me to generate some income.
I like the income.
It's a little more brain dead than some of the other income I try to generate.
I think about that all the time, but we'll get into some other trades today, I hope, and see what.
Yeah, let's just hit on a couple other things in the news. We had the Coinbase. You weren't around for the Coinbase, and actually that happened this week. Last week we had the SEC FUD with Ethereum. This week we had Coinbase getting their suit. Their dismissal was dismissed. Is that how I say it? I don't know. I'm not good with
dismissed. Yeah,
they had a motion to dismiss, I guess, and the judge was like, "No, we're going to trial." Although there was a partial victory because I think some of the cases the SEC was making about like the Coinbase wallet, they did throw out. So that's pretty cool. Coinbase stock didn't seem to care all that much. Like it's been my position that we were just at like peak regulatory FUD, and like none of this is really bothering me. I don't think this administration is even going to be around next year. So I just view this all as like buying opportunity. It's coin opportunity. It's ETH opportunity. More than anything, maybe we'll talk about that in a little bit. But on that note, on this concept of we've got max FUD. We've got max FUD, but it's kind of juxtaposed with this like max opportunity, just kind of slapping you in the face, like poking you, like, hey, do you see what's going on? Do you see what's going on? I mean, like I've been getting vibes for a while that have been bringing me back to last summer. Last summer I was screaming about Coinbase, and then I was screaming all end of last summer about about Bitcoin and BlackRock, and now we've got like the same thing going on. Like Larry Fink is he was on Fox a couple days ago. I don't know. Did you see it? Yeah.
Do we have that video up?
I didn't set up the audio, so I don't know if we can play it for people.
Okay. Yeah, I did see that video, and he said something along the lines of like, they asked him, well, what if the SEC deems Ethereum to be a security? And Larry Fink said something like, I don't think it really matters.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, it doesn't matter. The host was like, so you could still have an ETF? He's like, yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So, and if Larry believes it, then I believe it, because this guy, BlackRock's track record is...
Yeah, I mean, also said he's very bullish on the long-term viability of BTC. So, like, we've got this going on, like, right in front of our faces. You know, the head honcho over at BlackRock is saying all this. And now saying it doesn't even matter if ETH is a security. Like he clearly doesn't care about any of this. Like he knows he runs the world, I think. And meanwhile, BlackRock has now settled $160 million on ETH so far. They had that deployment a week or two ago with their stable coin.
What was that? What do they deploy over there? Can you?
It's like some it was a Buildle something. It's like an RWA kind of I don't know if it was like a T-bill fund or whatever, but it's deployed on ETH. Yeah, so they deployed like 100 million on chain.
I like that they choose Ethereum, by the way, to launch these products.
Makes you feel good. I mean, it'd been really. They put it on Solana.
If they put it on Solana, we would not be laughing.
Oh man, it'd be quite the dumpster fire in ETHland if that happened. But yeah, that's going on. Meanwhile, ETH BTC super struggling. We're flirting with the 0.05 low now. I won't pull up the chart to depress people, but yeah, but like also when you're at these kind of generational lows, I'm not going to call it a generational low. Well, maybe it is, but it's a high time frame low. Good opportunity to buy at these levels, because when you're wrong, you're wrong relatively quickly versus buying at the top. So I don't know. I continue to see a lot of opportunity there. Maybe we'll talk about it a little bit more later. But I want to get back into another thing you had on the agenda here. We had some meme stonkery going on at Reddit.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
two new issues that I think are pretty fun. Like
So Reddit and DJT, right?
the Donald J. Trump,
The Donald SPAC.
yeah, Truth Social.
He's like, I'll show you meme coins. That's cute.
Yeah,
Raise you
I don't
a
know.
Meme stonk.
I don't know if like people are actually interested in this stuff, but like the Reddit one I find pretty compelling. Like the DJT is full memery, but Reddit is pretty legit. Like I was looking at some numbers. Reddit, they're basically just like an ad platform like any other online business. And
Sorry.
you're getting trade alerts.
Get alerts going off here.
So Reddit's user base is similar to Pinterest in terms of like daily active, monthly active. And Pinterest has a $20 billion market cap. And Reddit's, after today's bloodbath, it's like probably...
Bro, yeah, I haven't looked at this chart yet. This is quite the chart here.
So we'll pull up the chart. But Reddit, it got beaten down today.
It's a shitcoin.
But it's like a probably $7 or $8 billion market cap compared to Pinterest, $20 billion. And they have like the same user numbers, same business model.
Do you think there's value here?
Well, I could see somebody who likes Reddit wanting to buy this, and I wouldn't dissuade them. I think it's fine.
I wonder how much more valuable Reddit's data is than like Pinterest's for the
Oh,
AI models.
You brought up a good point
that's
because
probably the bulk of this value, I would assume.
well, the bulk of its value, like 98% of its revenue is from advertising, but they just signed a contract with Google 2 years to sell its data for Google's AI to scrape, and that was it was something large, like $200 million contract or something like that over 2 years.
Juicy. I also haven't looked at DJT.
Oh, pull that up.
This is Trump Media.
Yeah, so this
Okay.
is basically just Truth Social, that I guess another social media platform, and this has like no users and no revenue.
It's full of me. Oh, damn.
Oh, it's pumping.
Holy hell. Okay. Got a little pump going on.
Yeah, and I feel like if DJT can pump, then like Reddit can pump too. But
So this thing was languishing like $12 and we just sent to $61 now.
well, I
That's
believe it was like, I don't know if that chart is actually meaningful because I think it was like a SPAC that
so they
merged.
revived it or something.
Yeah. But
Love that.
But
Fresh
from-
chart.
yeah, I think from that big wick higher is from when it like actually started trading the new.
That's hilarious. I love it. What a world.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I want to pivot back to some of the stuff we talked about last night. So you weren't there for a lot of our kind of broader investment discussions. We were kind of we kind of initially thought we were going to do a lot of rethinking of some theses, and we touched on it a little bit, but then it ended up just kind of meandering into like an interesting kind of like Bitcoin conversation,
Yeah.
which is totally cool, and we went with it. But I wanted to bring that back here tonight and actually hit those topics. One of the things Nick brought up to kind of like anchor people was this concept of the Stan Druckenmiller like fat pitch. Something we should always be thinking about. Like, what is the fat pitch right now? Like, where should like the bulk of the trade be?
I like that we had to explain to David what a fat pitch even is. Like this is a sports thing. Yeah, so in baseball, right? It's like it's like a pitch that's right down the middle that you can like easily hit.
Yeah,
So high probability.
yeah.
And you guys were talking about the fat pitch, and you both said ETH, which I think is a very fat pitch. I'm like allocated towards that. Bitcoin seems like the fattest pitch on earth.
I mean, that's what I said. I said Bitcoin is the fattest pitch, but like my logic was basically like if you believe this, then you have to also believe that ETH is a fatter pitch because it's a lot of the investment thesis is very similar, and then it's going to kind of get pulled into the same macro world where there's just this kind of systemic flows kind of coming into it, pushing price up with a much smaller market cap and like a deflationary token mechanism, and then also like Larry is telling you he wants to tokenize the world on top of ETH. Like, hello.
Yeah, I mean, ETH's a very fat
Hello.
pitch. It's a super fat pitch. And then I think I remember Nick talking about GLP-1s as another fat pitch.
Larry mentioned GLP-1s as a fat pitch on Fox.
Oh,
himself,
he did.
So
So
there's some additional confirmation.
What
for
were
you.
some of your other ones? Just remind me.
I think that was just the one. I was
Just
like,
ETH?
this is just kind of like my fat pitch, and
Okay.
it's not a fat pitch in that like I think it's going to go up the most, because I don't think that's true. Like it's fat to me in terms of like the ability to kind of like manage the downside on it, and the downside relative to the upside, the ability to kind of like lever up that trade and go like very, very, very big, right? It's very hard for me to imagine Ethereum going like much below like 3K at this point for any sustained period of time. Like, sure, anything is possible, but like you zoom out like a year from now, 2 years, like what is the worst case scenario on Ethereum really? Like if you believe in Bitcoin, like what, like the worst case is like you double your money from here, you 1.5x. Like I kind of do feel like that is like a bit of a worst case scenario, but like the upside is like all of this stuff actually does work out. You get flippening, everybody starts tokenizing stuff on chain, and then you have like $30,000-$40,000 Ethereum, and then you're like, oh wow, I could have put that trade on at like 30. You know, I bought some last week. I said at like 30.80. You could put that on and basically at like 3K with minimal downside for like a 10x. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, you're like earning yield the whole way, not just yield in terms of like staked ETH, but like I got the EtherFi airdrop
Oh yeah, that was
like
nice.
last week.
Still holding?
Fat airdrop. Yeah, I'm gonna hold it.
Me too.
I think people are gonna want to meet like a vehicle to speculate on this stuff, and it's kind of like the only game in town right now. I think it's gonna follow the traditional airdrop chart arc, you know. Although the dump was like pretty minimal, kind of was hovering around $4, and then I think we crossed like $7. So it's pretty fat. I got some like thick airdrops.
Cha-ching, baby.
Yeah, so it's pretty good. And now we're gonna run that back with what we got, like Swell, and so there's a whole bunch of other ones. Pendle continues to be like the epicenter for all of this.
Pendle's so good.
So you're getting mega yields on your ETH is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah,
over
what
the
is-
next
like-
who knows?
Kelp, Renzo,
Yeah, Kelp, Renzo,
all those.
So it's such a super interesting asset to hold when you factor in like the risk reward, and oh, by the way, the yield in terms of the staking yield, and then like all the airdrops you can farm, and they're not that hard to farm. Like, you know, anybody who's listening to this pod and has bought like stupid meme coins with us can probably figure out how to do this and get themselves a bucket of free money.
So I get your point on like when you look at a fat pitch, it's not just like a high probability. You want to be able to hit a home run on it, right? You want a high magnitude.
Yeah.
And I agree, but I think like when I'm thinking of a fat pitch, it's a bit like I prefer higher probability because then I can go a little more degen on the name itself. So I can like lever up, or I can go options or something. So I prefer high probability, and then I can kind of like squeeze out more magnitude. So I think one that I would have talked about yesterday would be like Coinbase. Still to me is a fat pitch.
Do you still is Coinbase your number one fat pitch?
I think so. I mean, I have probably more of my personal wealth in ETH, but Coinbase I'm probably squeezing more juice out of just via the options.
Yeah, I think Coinbase is a Mag 7 company. That's like my framework for it. It's like future Mag 7.
I love it.
And like it's a huge multiple from here. When are earnings?
So the quarter just ended today. Today was the last day of the quarter, so it'll probably take another month for them to like reconcile and then report it.
That's gonna be
Massive.
I feel like we need like a watch party or
Yeah,
something.
that's gonna be a massive catalyst because I think people are still sleeping on what those trading revenues are going to be, and retail is not even fully back in yet. Like,
yeah, and it takes a long time, I think, for some of this TradFi money to turn around and get on board these things, especially the crypto related ones.
Yeah, so the pendulum, it like swings too far to the bear side, and it takes a long time to like get moving the other way. And then what we'll see is like Coinbase probably goes higher than we ever imagined, like because the pendulum, once it gets moving, it swings too far in the other direction.
On a related note, have you been following Hood?
Oh yeah, I keep fucking adding to these bags, my Hood bags.
I mean, I wish I could have sized this trade bigger, but I just ran out of margin in my account. You know?
Yeah, there's too much good shit to buy.
Yeah, I mean, we were sitting here, months ago, like, guys, like, look at this fucking base.
God, I love Robinhood so much.
Oh yeah, so we ripped past 20. They announced their the gold card. You see that?
I did see that.
What do you think about it? Do you have any thoughts?
So the gold card gives you 3% cash back.
I think but it's like 3% like into your account, right? And you have to use it to purchase assets.
It's on every type of purchase too. It's not like there's qualifying purchases. It's on everything. So that's cool. And you have to pay a subscription fee to get the gold card.
It's like $60 a year though.
I know, but I feel like people are going to buy that.
If I was still running like my ecom biz and spending all the ad money, like it's pretty interesting. I think a lot of people like the airline points. Like you can get a lot of value.
Yeah, probably
from those for sure. But I don't know, man. Like getting basically like 3%, and you could buy like a Ethereum on your Robinhood account.
Damn,
and getting 3% back and just piling that into crypto. Like at the end of the year, that could be like a lot of money.
From a personal standpoint, I might even get the card because I like that. But I think just from a investor standpoint, it's a pretty good loss leader, even if they're paying out, because like the type of user that is a Robinhood user, they're going to be like paying 19% APRs on their like balance.
Yeah, they've probably thought this all through.
Yeah.
I mean, good play by them. I love it. Yeah, I woke up and I found out about it because I saw David Hoffman shilling his ref link on Twitter.
Oh, God. Here
I
we
was
go.
like, oh, this is going to go really well in the comments.
Oh, yeah. They love to drag him for that stuff. Dude, I think like Robinhood, though, is so cool as a play because it's like, it's beyond crypto. It has like a crypto element to it, but it's like also for just like the TradFi degens. They make most of their money off of options contracts in TradFi. So like, I think retail wants to play that game too.
What's interesting is we've talked about the hood coin ratio. I feel like we need to trademark this thing. It hasn't really budged that much yet. So it's not like you've missed a ton of relative value being in coin instead of hood. But like, yeah, I do wonder if this accelerates to the upside. Be interesting to monitor. This makes me like less upset that I missed the trade.
Yeah, there's still
missed
time.
more size in the trade because it's like I basically have it's the same trade on both ends for me at the moment.
We're kind of at a long, like a high time frame bottom, like the ETH BTC.
Yeah, it's interesting. Will the bottom hold? All right, so fat pitch is coin. You got any other fat pitches you wanna run by us?
No, I think coin.
That's okay. We'll keep it condensed. All right, let's pop off that chart there. Boom. There we are. What else we got? Oh yeah. So let's go into some of the. I want to take time periodically to take a step back and think about where all my money is and the thesis behind why the money is there, and like if that still holds true. I think it's a good time to do it right now because I do think there's a very good chance like we actually start going all alt season from this point, and a lot of these sort of non-BTC narratives might really start taking off. So I want to be positioned for that in the best way possible. I think the first thing we wanted to talk about is just the 4-year cycle, right? So this is like a very high level thing for you as a crypto investor. The thesis that everybody sort of has, and that I had coming into this was there will be a traditional 4-year cycle that we all should be investing around. That means like a huge boom and a massive bust. And if you think that's going to happen, then you're very oriented, obviously, around heavily taking profits and selling stuff. You're not really thinking about holding a lot of things forever as a result of that. If that's no longer true, then that changes the calculus on a lot of stuff. So do you have a particular opinion on the 4-year cycle? Is that something you're thinking about?
Yeah, I'm a believer in the 4-year cycle continuing, but with like diminishing magnitudes as we proceed to the next 4-year cycle and the next. I think there will be, like we see the same thing in trad markets too. There's like bull markets and bear markets. Cycles happen. So I feel like this is going to happen.
Cycles happen, yeah. I mean, like, I think we're going to get cycles. Like, price is going to go down again. I actually think it's more likely than not the 4-year cycle thing is just maybe not dead from this point, but maybe it like skips.
Well,
something.
like I guess like maybe we're focused too much on, or I'm not focused enough on the 4-year element of it. So that was just due to the happening, right? Is that why?
I mean, that's just the thing people say, but like I don't actually think that is a thing. I think that's just a thing people meme. But it is undeniable that like roughly every, it is roughly a 4-year cycle, and you do have this like mega boom and you do have this mega bust.
Yeah, I guess I'd be interested to see, and I haven't pulled it up or done the research, but like has crypto gone through like a death 4-year period? Like, within that 4-year cycle, there's a down. And has that down occurred while the stock market is like just mooning? Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, it's Bitcoin has been a very good like kind of inverse dollar trade for sure, and that has sort of matched a lot.
But probably so is NASDAQ.
Yeah, I know that I forgot who put it up. Maybe it was Brent Donnelly, but he charted like Bitcoin versus 3x levered NASDAQ, and it was basically like a perfect correlation. Yeah, it was like actually like an insane correlation. It's like, yeah, Bitcoin is basically 3x levered NASDAQ.
I could see that.
Period.
Yeah, and maybe then this 4-year period is a little more extended. Like it's not distinct.
I feel like the ETF thing like has to throw a wrench in it. Like it's very hard for me to imagine that like we haven't even gotten. We just did like the initial buys, right? We had that initial wave come in from that chunk of capital that wanted to get allocated. We saw those mega flows, and I think they've slowed a little bit, but we haven't ramped up like all that kind of infrastructure in terms of like the sales forces of all these banks and investment firms or whatever that are kind of like going to shovel all this client money in, and that's going to start happening all of this year. And then like we might end up with ETH ETF. Maybe that doesn't even come till next year, and that's going to be like another kick. And I feel like we're basically at the precipice now of more like corporate purchases, or maybe like a sovereign wealth fund type thing happening too. And it's like very hard to imagine a sovereign wealth fund or like a large, like an enormous like pension plan or something like buying this stuff, and then like we just go kind of boom bust with that just sort of like perpetual DCA in a way. There'll be a drawdown for sure. It's not going to not draw down. But is it going to go mega up and then down like 87%? I don't think so.
So is there any of your spot holdings, like your long-term bag, that you just hold forever, or do you always sell?
I've always sold. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't think I've ever. I held a couple Bitcoin, through the 2018 cycle. I held on to a bunch, but like I sold pretty much everything last cycle at one point.
I think I sold all my ETH at one point, and but to me it doesn't really matter that much. Like I want to continue to hold Bitcoin and ETH sort of forever. They're going to be in my portfolio forever.
Yeah.
But like I'm going to get in and out of them at times.
My compromise to this is basically like, okay, like I feel like I can't sell all of my ETH and Bitcoin this cycle. Like I feel like actually I do have to hold it now because I think this is a possibility. But I think I can still sell like everything else in the bag at some point. And that's kind of how I'm going to thread the needle on it, I guess, now that this kind of my idea of how this might play out has changed. And I think that's going to be my compromise there.
I do think that like Bitcoin and ETH are particularly unique because I could see myself dumping all my Coinbase stock at some point. And
Coinbase is the one actually that like I'm most conflicted about right now. Like, do I want to just forever hold coin? I feel like it's going to be one of those things though in like 20 years where you're like that guy who held Apple all the way up and all the way down and all the way up, and like Tesla, right? It's very hard to do, but like I kind of feel like in the end, like you are going to get rewarded for it. I do. But like if coin does what I think it's going to do, like my coin, like as a percentage of my brokerage account, it's just going to be like stupid. And I will feel like, I don't know.
Let me just tell you that I've been through that with NVIDIA, where like I bought NVIDIA at a cost basis of like $30 or something, and I ended up selling it along the way in little chunks, and that makes me feel so dumb now. And like I don't want to do it. Like I don't want to do that with the assets that I really like anymore, just because like traditional wisdom said don't get over concentrated, and I'm like, well, why? Like hold the best shit.
It's a tough call. It's a tough call. By the way, on coin, is there an easy way to like how do you lend your coin stock out? Like can you lend your stock out and make a yield on it? Because I assume there's like a pretty high yield on it from people who want to borrow it and short it, right?
Yeah, you can like with different brokerage platforms, it's like a little form you fill out, and the funding rate on each individual issue is different. So like on hard to borrow stocks, the funding rate can be very high. Like on DJT, on Donald J. Trump stock, the borrow cost or the cost to short it is 600% APY right now. But like on coin, you're probably getting 25 basis points. So it's really not anything.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah. I mean, that's like kind of the standard at Interactive
that's very
Brokers.
little.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't care then.
Yeah.
I was thinking it might be like, maybe it's like double digits or something.
If it's a shit stonk, you can get really good.
Not a shit stonk anymore?
Yeah.
All right. I won't worry about it. All right. Next thing, we talked about this. Well, I guess I talked about this in our kind of alfalfa year-end episode last year, and we were talking about what's going to happen this year. One of the things I said was going to happen was that like ETH was actually going to disappoint like a lot of ETH people this year in terms of their expectations and the returns. And I know all this sounds confusing to people, like as I sit here being a bull to it, and I hold a bunch of it.
But so far so good, my friend. I'm pretty disappointed.
Yeah. Like I really mentally divide my trading bags and my investment bags, and like I think that even if I think this is going to happen this year, like I don't care, right? Because like for me it's like a longer play. Like this is like a longer play now. Like I gotta get to ETF and hold through ETF and all the stuff that happens after the ETF, right? And like I already have the bags, like I'm not gonna sell them and like realize all these like taxable gain, like because I live in California. It's just like I don't care, right? But like in my trading bag, I'm not really thinking about buying more ETH. I do levered trade ETH from time to time, but like I'm not like excited about like accumulating ETH like in that portion of my portfolio for like mega gains this year.
Yeah.
So I still feel like this is going to be true. Like I've actually been diversifying more and more and more of my portfolio away from ETH this year, just because like not necessarily by selling any of the ETH, but like we'll talk about this later. But like I have been like selling stuff that I think is like in the ETH bucket and buying other things with it.
And is your intention there to like ride a faster horse for this year and then turn that into more ETH? Is that how you're playing that?
No, I think I just want to turn it into more cash at this point. Like I feel like we're kind of in the swing of the cycle, and I'm not really thinking about like getting more ETH. I'm like thinking about like
I'm thinking about getting more ETH because I agree with you that ETH is going to take longer, but I'm also on board with this idea that you were kind of shilling maybe a couple months ago, where like the high for ETH might be a lot higher than just 2 times previous cycle high or something like that.
Yeah, I think ultimately that could be like an outcome. I think it's based on stuff that, like I said that because it's based on stuff that I think is going to take time to happen in like an industry where like nobody has any freaking patience at all. Like the stuff that's going to make that happen is not going to play out by like July of this year. It's just not.
And one of the things I think that can make it happen is like totally independent of ETH itself, which is just like if the price of Bitcoin goes fucking exponential, then I think ETH will just ride that wake.
Yeah, but it will underperform maybe.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And like when I said that too, I mean like this is like an important thing to update. Like one of the reasons I am sort of longer term bullish on ETH and Solana or Bitcoin is because I do believe in kind of like the modular world, and I do believe in this universe where like all these businesses and everybody wants to launch L2s that settle on ETH, right? Which is why I think last night's conversation was really interesting, because like David did a good job of like picturing me a world where like actually like a lot of this might happen on Bitcoin as well. And I think it's important to consider that. And like, I think that has to, ding the probability of 30K ETH.
Well, can I ask you then, with the stuff that you're going to be buying from your ETH bag, which I imagine could be meme coins or AI coins or what have you, like, how do you frame those in terms of like a fat pitch? Are those fat pitches for you, or like how, like, because ETH is the fat pitch, right? And then how are you thinking about these little trades then?
We'll talk about them. They're going to come up on the list here.
Okay,
I'm going to keep us like on the rails today.
I thought I was segueing.
You are segueing, but you're not segueing to my next bullet point.
Sorry.
Because my next bullet point is this thesis: ETH L2s are high beta to ETH and will dramatically outperform ETH. I feel like this is what I've been concerned about for a while, because it was like very consensus. Like, it was very like kind of merge. ETH is going to go up, kind of consensus, and we know what happened there.
So can we just check and see how it's performed? Has it been high beta ETH, like
no
optimism?
Well, like look, let me pull up the one of the worst offenders here, the ARB ETH chart for anybody who has not been looking at this thing here. Let me clean this out for you guys. This is a bad chart.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
It's not good, right? Now maybe that's the bottom. Could be clean bottom, a little swing fail, maybe. I don't know. But like that is a bearish chart. There's a lot of momentum to the downside.
Yeah. It's ugly.
Doesn't look good. I mean, the OP ETH chart I think looks a little better. Right? Because you can kind of just squint and be like, all right, this is just coming into demand, and we're just at a massive leg up, and maybe we'll go back up. But am I super pumped about it? No. And like I the thing I have fresh in my mind that I've talked about is like the DeFi thesis from last cycle, because everybody said this about the DeFi coins, and they did turbo pump at the beginning, similar to this turbo candle on OP, but then they got wrecked. They got super wrecked. So yeah, I'm definitely not overweight L2s. Like I would guess I only have, what do I have in my portfolio in L2s? I probably have like 3.5 or 4%.
Okay.
Which is not a ton. Like it's way less than I would have.
Almost not even worth thinking about at that point.
Yeah, and so one of the things that's kicking me is like here's another thing people are talking about, right? Everybody's talking about Base, and Base is going to be like this big thing, and Base has been doing well. Like the numbers on it are good. Meme coin's been popping off. TVL is going up. Like all this activity's good, and I think a lot of people are just being like, oh, this is going to be like a creative to optimism, because Base is built on optimism,
and they share some fees
with
Super
optimism.
Chain.
Yeah, but like that to me is very different, because when you have something like Solana, right, where the community is just like they all have Solana in their wallets and they're using the Sol token to do a bunch of stuff, right, and it's giving it this kind of like mimetic network effect. That doesn't happen with OP like on OP, and it definitely doesn't happen with OP like on Base. And I've said this a few times, but like tokens are really, really important. This is like a thing I was talking to David about last night, because I was like, how do people invest in these Bitcoin L2s? Do they have tokens? And he's like, well, no. And I'm like, this is like a thing I've always thought is like stupid about Bitcoin, because they have this like thing about like giving out tokens, like, oh, you don't need tokens for that. But like tokens are really awesome in that they do a really, really good job of like bootstrapping community and like aligning incentives between like users and projects. And like, sure, you can go totally off the deep end with tokens and just scam the fuck out of people, and just it could be a disaster, right? But you also can do this like very, very, very well, right? And the reason I was kicking myself this week was because I was having all these thoughts after last week's pod, because I was talking about this, and I was thinking about L2s, and I was like, I should rotate like almost all of my L2 stack into Mantle, because Mantle is going to probably just be a higher beta L2 trade. It's a smaller market cap than OP ARB. And Mantle is doing all the things that I think are smart, right? And like the people who run it like have made it very obvious that they also believe this type of stuff is smart. They understand the importance of like tokenization and gamification and incentive. Like obviously that's going to drive adoption, all these metrics, and ultimately price and like a bull run. And like this thing just, I don't know if you've been tracking the price of this, but just turbo ripped.
Oh my God.
This week.
I remember talking about this on Irresponsibly Long number 1 or 2. I mean, just never bought it.
I mean, just the last couple days, we ripped 75%.
God damn.
Ugh. Like I was sitting here just looking at this little, I was like, that's like a pretty juicy little dip here at like 80 cents. I should probably, and I just get distracted. Hard to buy everything. But I think I am still going to just put a bunch into this on this retrace.
Can I ask about just the L2 narrative though, like outside of Mantle, but like all of them? Like I think, to me, isn't it just based upon regulatory? Like if they allow these L2s to share sequencer revenue with the token holders, then the token becomes valuable. But for now, it's like
I don't even know if that's the case, because
it's a worthless
we're
gov coin.
We're gonna do this thing where we like put like, did you see where like the Puff Dragon token was like retweeting a video of me last week and everything?
I missed what was going on, but I saw that you were involved in something.
Okay, so I was on Bankless with Ledger. I did this interview debating meme coins, and I was saying like one of the interesting things about memes, I think, is that we can actually take the attention, work backwards, and like build something from the attention. And like that, like something like Doge or Sheeb, like having this massive amount of attention can be converted into like utility down the road, right? And I was like, well, I think what's happening with this Puff Dragon token on Mantle is that like I think that's what they're doing. They're launching the meme token and gamifying it, and I think it's going to end up where you actually have the ability to buy into an actual project at the end. Like I think.
And what they took offense to that?
So they were memeing it, but it was very funny. Like they edited me into a video, and they're like, "This is disgraceful that you would that he would say like our this token has utility. 1 puff equals 1 puff," and everybody in the comments, it's like utility is bearish, and it was just
incredible.
And I was like, "It's true, utility is bearish.
Damn.
It's very bearish. Like once you can put this like kind of discounted cash flow on something, like all the imagination's gone, you're anchored to that, and like people lose interest. It is very bearish.
I can see that, but I'm more happy that you just got memed. Like you've come so far.
I just woke up and saw this video of like a dragon watching me on a TV on Twitter. I'm like, what is happening right now? I'm like going to my notifications. I have like hundreds of mentions.
Oh man. Good job.
So funny. By the way, I love that project. I feel very good about my Puff bags. Because I just feel good about Puff. That's why I was like I should buy Mantle, because like I just like I'm drawn to this. Like my radar is going off here. But back to the L2 stuff, right? Like I don't necessarily think it's going to be mega bullish if like our can just suddenly start bringing profits to the token holders, right? And I think the other problem is like even if that's the case, like we're definitely off on this race to like bring fees to zero, basically. And then, like the more fees kind of are going to zero, I think it's going to be harder to kind of extract profits, right? Like you need just more and more and more
volume,
and more and more and more volume. Which maybe that's the case. Like maybe as fees go down, like the volume just kind of keeps going up.
Yeah, I think
that's what people say might happen. But the bottom line to this is that like I don't know how. I think these tokens are bullish, but like, is it the fattest pitch for me? Like, I'm actually totally rethinking this. Like, I actually think there are things I believe in like a lot more than the L2 thing. And I already have a lot of exposure to ETH, and I'm like, maybe I should be taking like a lot of the L2 chunk of my portfolio and putting it elsewhere into stuff that like I actually like have more conviction on.
Right, because I don't think that these L2 tokens are like high probability. That's not how I view them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, maybe in a way high probability, but not like high probability outperform ETH, I guess.
Yeah. So that's how I'm feeling at the moment. My chat is it's so tiny. I can't get it to work here on my computer. I guess I can look over on the other computer and read it. I'm trying to see what people are saying. Steve, have you ditched inflation? Your inflation is sticky theory, and a follow-up to that is, if inflation ticks back up, what's the downside looking to crypto land? No, inflation is sticky. It's going to be sticky around 3.5%. Do I think it matters? No, not at all. I think this is exactly what they want to happen. I don't think any of this like really matters anymore. I don't think it's mattered for a while. I think the Fed hasn't mattered for a while. You know, I've said like it's all just about the Treasury and the government. They're just trying to ram through another multi-trillion-dollar spending package. Like inflation at 3.5 or 3.2 or 3.7. I just don't think it matters.
So you believe that we've sort of like achieved a soft landing around this 3.5% level?
Yeah.
Because like, what was it, the 70s when we had the same like descent and then inflation came back up and like had a second rise back into the double digits again? I mean, if that happens, I think assets are fucked. Risk assets would be fucked if inflation goes back up again.
None of this matters in isolation. Like it drives me crazy when people just talk about like, oh, inflation's at CPI is at 4%. What are wages at? What is GDP at? Like if inflation is 4%, but like wages are going up 6% a year and GDP is like freaking 15%. Like nobody cares. Like I don't think anybody cares, right? It's just this thing that it's just like people love anchoring on some like number.
Hold on.
What?
If like I don't think inflation is going to come back to double digits, but let's just play out a game where it does. Okay? Like you're saying it wouldn't matter because the economy is fine and we have GDP growth.
I'm not saying
fine.
Double digits wouldn't matter, but like that's not going to happen.
Because if it it's not going to happen. But if it did happen, they would increase the rates like Volcker did up to like 18% risk free.
No,
it would fucking stop the economy dead in its tracks. Like it would be a nightmare.
Okay, we're getting like wonky here, but like Volcker could increase rates in the 80s because the percentage of debt and the service of that debt relative to GDP was much smaller back then, right? Like if you have so much debt that the service you're paying on that debt via interest is like above a particular critical mass as like a proportion of the GDP, right? When you jack rates up, when the government pays interest on the debt, where is that interest going? It's mostly going into the pockets of the people in the economy, right? So if debt service becomes like 100% of GDP and you jack rates up, you are flushing like stimmy money into the economy via like all these like free money interest payments.
Well, a lot of our debt is held by foreign entities.
Not like it's mostly held by us. It's mostly held by us. Like a lot of the stuff people have been saying about debt and the bonds, it's just all turned out not really exactly to be true. Like there's like a voracious demand for like U.S. debt right now. There's tons of boomers retiring, and they all want to like park their money in like safe stuff. And like when the bonds are paying out like 4.5%, 5%, like people aren't like, oh my God, the price of bonds is going down. They're like, sweet, we get 5%. And free money. I want to buy. Buy. Yeah. So I'm not going to go on a bond tangent right now. But yeah, I don't think like these little minute things in CPI matter right now, and they haven't.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They haven't.
Before we proceed, can we get everybody who's listening live to like the stream? We got 11 likes right now. We got 33 people in here. Come on, give us a like, please. Thank you.
Oh, whoa! The battery on the laptop's about to die. What's going on here?
Oh,
got a code red.
Oh God, hold on.
Code red. We gotta fix this. I've seen this before. I've seen this movie before.
Which laptop?
Here, let me just try plugging this one. Let's play Switcheroony. Okay, now it's plugged in.
Try plugging in the other one too, because I think it just dislodged from the.
Sam in the chat, bro, wages follow nowhere close to inflation. What are you saying? Actually, Sam, that's completely false over the last couple of years. Like wages have kept up pretty well with inflation. You can see that in the economy. There's people spending money left and right. Maybe you are correct historically over multi-decades, but I'm talking about a hypothetical here. Like if inflation goes up in the future and wages continue to keep pace with it, as they have done recently, then people don't care. You just asked for the Aztec score in the chat.
Yeah, dude. Somebody hit me with a score.
Oh man, you are something. You are something. All right, let's move on to the next thing I got in here. CryptoPunks. This is kind of like an NFT thing, but like CryptoPunks will rise again. Grail NFT collections will make new highs again this cycle, and Blur will be a great performer as a proxy to this.
A lot in there.
Yeah, this is one that I've definitely pulled back a lot.
So you guys mentioned it yesterday on the stream, talking about Bitcoin ETFs versus Ethereum ETFs.
Yeah, well, I was like, I should 100% sell my punk and buy like a Grail Bitcoin NFT. Like if I'm just being like a cold hard calculating.
Yeah, and I think your logic is pretty sound.
Person.
It's just like, where are the biggest bags? Like where's the money? And that's gonna buy the NFTs.
Yeah, the point I brought up on the show is that like ETH NFTs are sort of like they're middling, right? You know, they're not mega grail. Like the biggest whales are on Bitcoin, and the most kind of grail block space I still think is on Bitcoin in spite of what people would think, right? So you're kind of losing that argument in terms of like the rarity of the block space itself and the whales to buy them. And then Solana is obviously destroying on like the ease of use, like the cheapness, the ability to kind of like have mass market NFTs. So like undeniably kind of like an awkward spot right now. Maybe a lot of this activity moves to L2s. Maybe that's part of the Blur vision. Maybe everybody's just trading NFTs on Blast in the future and there's like a Blast NFT boom. I don't know. But I definitely don't feel amazing about the Blur trade anymore. Like I've actually sold off a bunch of Blur is one of the things I sold off this week. I'll talk about it later. Not because I'm like bearish on it, but I'm just really like, what am I super confident in? Like, where do I really want to like put money? Like, where are the fattest pitches? And to me, like ETH NFTs is like, it's like something I don't have a ton of conviction in.
Okay, so this I'm interested in this conversation because I'm looking to buy a CryptoPunk right now, and I talked about it a couple weeks ago on Alfalfa, I think, and the floor for CryptoPunks has just been dropping every day. So I haven't bought one because I feel like
I haven't looked at the floor in a while. What's the floor at?
It was at like 46 last time.
I feel like it's been 46 for like freaking 20 years.
Yeah, 46.
46.
Yeah. So I told myself in the 40s I'll buy one of these things. So I mean, because I had one before.
Whenever you say that, you have to follow through because it always price gets to the thing and you're like, no, it looks kind of bad now, and then
the universe
always wrong.
The universe gives you a chance, and this is my chance, so I'm gonna do it. And I think like, are they going to have a resurgence? Yes, it's like as the network just gets rich, like ETH, the token goes much higher. People on like ETH holders are going to get rich and they're going to spend the money on
ETH holders right now are sort of like they're like impoverished on a relative basis.
Yeah, right.
Because it's like ETH, you know, for the bull cycle hasn't done amazingly, you know. And I think there's a bit of people aren't exactly. Yeah, I should sell all my ETH right now and buy JPEGs. That's definitely not the vibe. So I think it's still too early to call on that. Wasn't a great sign when somebody bought an alien for like $12 or $15 million or whatever the hell they spent, and like nothing happened to the punk market.
Yeah, there was no like cheering for it or anything. Nobody cared.
Yeah, objectively speaking, not amazing. Next here. So we've talked about this one a lot, and we've gone back and forth on it. This thesis is that Bitcoin miners will be high beta Bitcoin. I want to kick this to you first. How are you feeling about this right now?
Well, it certainly hasn't felt like it. Your buddy David was giving some pretty interesting.
Whoa! Spoilers.
Okay, so it hasn't been high beta, but
how have you been feeling?
I still feel like that is going to work. And I'm buying more Mara. I think I bought more Mara last week, so I'm still basically all in on this still.
The thing David brought up last night that I thought like I hadn't considered much was, you know, we talked about how miners could potentially outperform because the market isn't pricing in the impact of ordinals and, you know, the new fee market on Bitcoin.
Right.
And it's sort of just like the beginning of this year, basically you saw everybody selling off the miners because all the money that was in it as like a proxy trade got out, and maybe they got into the ETF or whatever, but like miners get killed to start the year. And then also everybody's looking at the halving, which is miners having their revenue, right?
Yep.
And nobody likes that. But what David brought up that I thought was interesting is that in a world where like Bitcoin L2s start thriving, those L2s are going to be settling on Bitcoin, and they're going to be paying for Bitcoin block space in the same way that Ethereum L2s pay for Ethereum block space. That Bitcoin block space, I believe, is much more limited. I mean, the block time is drastically different, right? And those L2s, they're going to be like price insensitive, right? Like if you're making like a ginormous chunk of fees and then you're sort of bundling that all together and then settling on Bitcoin L1, you don't really care what those are. So you may have this like collection of like sort of like price insensitive bidders just bidding up block space to the moon. And I thought that was like an interesting thing to think about that I hadn't really considered. So I've been wondering actually if I should look to get back into this trade.
So when I heard that from your episode yesterday, I wanted to ask David, but I'll ask you what you think. Like, he's saying that layer 2s on Bitcoin are going to drive this fee market, but I'm wondering like what's even the probability of these layer 2s happening? Because it seems like it seemed to me forever that the ideology of Bitcoiners has been to like sort of like shun that or like push that aside.
I think it's a very high probability that L2s on Bitcoin happen. There is such an immense amount of capital just within the Bitcoin ecosystem that even to just service that ecosystem is like a pretty big TAM. The question to me that like I am unclear on is like, is there going to be like a bunch of like outside new money kind of coming into the Bitcoin L2 ecosystem in the same way that we're expecting this to be happening or like see it happening right now on Ethereum? That's the thing I'm not sold on. And like I had a lot of conversations with David. This is Bitcoin David, not Ethereum David. With Bitcoin David about this, and like, okay, like Ethereum has really good network effects, has tons of devs. It has like an exchange like Coinbase, basically serving as the on ramp for people like directly from their bank account onto Ethereum layer 2. Don't you think that this stuff is like important, like much more important than like because like from my understanding talking to him, like the technology from like a user perspective is like it's similar. Like you're on a Bitcoin L2, you're on an ETH L2, like it might not be something that you even
right.
have any idea of.
I think Bitcoin's just like a couple years behind, right? Like they'll probably try to do their blue chip DeFi lending, simple Uniswap type thing on Bitcoin. And if that's the case, if you believe that's a high probability, then these miners are going to profit immensely. So last time I was looking at their financials, just from like that ordinals pump, Mara generated 10% of their overall revenue from transaction fees, not from like the miner incentive.
Yeah.
That's huge. Like that's 10% just from ordinals. Like if we get layer 2 activity, if we get actual transactions on chain, like miners are going to reap the benefits of that.
Yeah,
for sure.
like I think what people need to understand about this trade and Bitcoin miners in general is that it is like it's just like a mega convexity trade. Like it's a trade, it's a business that goes from freaking terrible to like, oh, this could work, to like, oh my God, it's like actually printing money as this demand kind of goes up and up and up, and it's not like linear.
Dude, think about even like how simple it will be for them to laugh at the people like me who are saying like this is the stupidest business to get involved in, and I'll look like the fucking middle curve meme, like when these businesses are actually like really profitable based on transactions.
One thing David was saying to me that like I didn't fully comprehend, but I have to go back and look into is like in order to, it's like kind of hard to get into Bitcoin block space when there's like a lot of demand for it, right? And he said like miners, like Mara specifically, I think launched some sort of, I don't know if it was like bidding service or whatever, where you can kind of come to them and basically bribe them to get into a block.
Yeah.
Which is sort of like its own, kind kind of reminds me of like I don't know, it's like a Flashbots type thing on ETH or something. You could bribe validators to kind of get in, and so that's like I feel like there's no way like Wall Street is like thinking about that. At the moment,
if there is demand,
everybody's just sort of like, these are terrible business, and they always have been like terrible businesses.
Yeah, and this could be the time, I think, to buy. Like, the FUD is the highest.
Yeah, Ali said, "I'm so bearish on BTC miners. Such a crappy business."
I've been there, Ali.
Yeah.
I've been there. It traditionally has been that.
That's why I these trades are interesting to me when like everybody knows something sucks, but like you see like this light at the end of the tunnel where like actually it might not suck and everybody is on the other end of the boat. I think the Mara chart is not like super amazing. I got the monthly chart open here.
Okay.
I'd be kind of interested in bidding this monthly low. What is this, like 1460? Kind of like an interesting spot. I set some alerts there. It's a bit of a move down, so 30% move down, which is nothing in miners. You know, we could sneeze and do that. But
so instead of putting limit orders, you can sell puts at $15 and get paid for your limit order.
Yeah, I don't know. I just want to buy it there. You crazy put selling son of a bitch. What's next on here? Yes, here's a good one. Meme coins. Meme coins are not a flash in the pan and will be a wildly overperforming sector. The best way to get exposure is to buy Doge and ecosystem memes like Whiff, Pepe, Sheeb, Cock, whatever the flavor of the day is on base. I'm sure there's a lot of memes, I think, competing on base right now.
Toshi, Mochi.
We got Toshi, we got Mochi, we got Thank You Base God, we got
Bald.
Bald. There's like 20 iterations of Bald coming out. There's a lot going on there. I know people are showing their favorite base memes. So I guess first part of this, like meme coins are not a flash in the pan, and they should be something that we allocate to. This is something I have been pushing on you for a while, and I know you're a bit of a skeptic.
Well, you've been doing the Lord's work for meme coiners everywhere. You've been on Bankless, you've been talking on Alfalfa and everywhere, right? Talking about your meme coins. Like, I can't get on board. Like, this to me is so obviously, it's just like everyone who's buying this stuff they're all lemmings running towards the cliff. But they think that they're smarter than the other lemmings, thinking like, I'm going to stop before the cliff. I'm going to be smarter than you. I know what I'll do. I'll just stop before the cliff. But what ends up happening to lemmings is they fall off the cliff. And that's what's going to happen to the meme coins.
Have fun staying poor. Okay, so we talked about fat pitches, and like I talked about my Ethereum fat pitch, right? My other fattest pitch, like I think the fattest pitch that's still kind of like underappreciated is Dogecoin. And I think Dogecoin is not a flash of the, like, you can't say Dogecoin is a flash in the pan. The damn thing's been around for like 10 years at this point. It's died and come back to life so many times. And it has a lot of properties to it that are very, very, very interesting. I've given this spiel a few times, but like memes aren't just like a thing people buy to sell to somebody else. Like they are the purest expression of the attention economy, right? There is a huge value to attention markets, and there is value to things that have attention, right? Like if I told you like every freaking Zoomer on Earth owned like $100 of Whiff, to say that like that there's not value in that attention, right? People talking about it, people owning it, right? Like there's obviously value on that. And yes, of course, like with anything you buy that is like non-cash flow asset, you are betting that you are going to sell it to somebody for a higher price in the future, presumably because it has more attention, right? This is how the rare art market works, right? Like if you're trading rare art, you're buying it thinking that more people will want it in the future. Like the sort of meme of that art will spread and grow. So like I don't think these things are that different. And like you talk about like, well, if you're really bullish on the Bitcoin ETF trade and Bitcoin as a fat pitch, you have to be bullish on ETH as a fat pitch. I think like if you follow it down the rabbit hole, like there is a Doge ETF in like a few years, and there's also like a Bitcoin Cash ETF and a Litecoin ETF. Like Larry Fink is on TV, he's just like, we are making so much goddamn money. He's just like, this is the best launch ever. He's just like throwing the stats out there. Like the stats are unbelievable. Like the Bitcoin ETF is the best launch like ever by like orders of magnitude, and we're only like freaking 1/4 into the year. So if you think these guys aren't all sitting there like, we got to launch more ETFs, like everybody has a chance to like front run all these ETF trades now. Doge is one of the most underappreciated ones. It has like properties to it that are, you know, kind of similar to Bitcoin in a way, which I think makes it special and very commodity like.
I agree. I agree with
there's
you.
a price. Like I was on the show like a couple months ago. We were looking at this chart, and like this is where I bought Doge. It was like this thing's been trading at like 8.5 cents for like like this is what it always does. It just goes flatline for like months, and then it goes God candle up, directly up. It's obviously going to $1. It's going to hit $1. People are going to sell. It's going to go down 30%, right? And people are going to be like, that was it. And then it's just going to rip in everybody's faces. And then people are going to start saying like, actually $10. And then,
yeah, no, you know? I agree with you. And I think you make a good point about Larry Fink too. If you look at their incentives, it's just to have more ETFs that people are going to fucking buy, and they get AUM fees on it. So I agree with you on that. And with Doge, I particularly agree with you because this one I think of as like, what's your downside? Well, we already saw it. It just happened, you know, in the last bear market. That was your downside. And I look at that a bit differently than I look at the meme coins du jour, like the Geo Bodens and the Elizabeth Horns and whatever. I feel like those, we could see those go to zero. So I look at, like, you talk about meme coins and then you mentioned Doge. I think about meme coins as like all this other shit.
Like here's the Doge monthly chart. Like I have to put it on like a log chart to fully appreciate it, you know. But no, this is just the Binance, so it doesn't have all the data. This chart is bullish as all hell, right? And I know I was on here. I don't know if it was a few weeks ago, and I was like the easiest trade of this cycle is to just like, I think we were like right around here, and I was like, still, you just buy here and you put your stop loss under the monthly low. And then that's probably like a super easy trade.
How are we doing on the Doge Pepe? You and Armand's bet after Doge had this run.
That's a good question. I haven't checked the Pepe Doge ratio in a while. Let's see what it looks like. I mean, I don't think it's going to go well for him. I actually own more Pepe than I own Doge. It has pulled back a bit. Put a little bit of a pullback here as Doge has started to have its time in the sun, but. Yeah, he's still losing. Don't worry. And he will lose. He will lose this bet. Yeah, Pepe, the question of like, if you buy into this thesis, it's like, what do? You know, you start playing a bunch of games. Like the easy one is you just buy Doge because Doge is basically the Bitcoin of memes, right? But then like, obviously, if you think like there's like an ecosystem play, then you have WIF on Solana, you have Bonk. Like personally, like I feel like WIF is stronger than Bonk, right? But then, like, you can also play these other kind of sub plays because you typically get more than one meme on an ecosystem. Like one of the memes I bought recently is a Popcat.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, Popcat.
You're going far out on the risk curve.
Yeah. Hold on, let me see if I can pull up the Popcat chart. So like my two big holdings on Solana right now are WIF and Popcat. But I thought the Popcat chart, like, oh yes I haven't checked it today. Oh,
what are we up today?
Oh, I love it.
What are we celebrating?
Bro, I bought it at 21 cents. We are 65%. I am a meme god.
Today?
I mean, basically, what is this? 24 this couple of days, yeah. I mean, today strictly, I think we're up like 40%.
Nice buy, sir.
Oh, glad you all got to watch my joy on air. It's beautiful.
So we're about to break all-time highs on this thing.
Oh yeah. I mean, this is smooth 350 million market cap. Yeah, I like this one. I actually got a request in the channel for a Stanley Cup coin. Okay, so funny story about Stanley Cup coin. I almost bought this thing in, like early January. Oh my God, dear God. And I didn't buy it because I was like, Stanley Cup, like who cares about hockey? And I didn't get the meme.
I don't understand the meme, even currently.
It's Stanley Cup, like the Stanley Cups.
Oh, Stanley. Like the ones that we drink out of with lead. I got it.
And once I was like, oh no, I would have bought it for sure. I would have bought it for sure. I'm so stupid. Oh my God. Yeah. It's up like 1,400%.
God, we would have been on this so early too.
Oh man. This chart actually looks good as far as, you can make, TA type charts on memes, which I do, by the way. I do this. And
do they
I do
trade
think it
cleanly?
works.
Like,
They trade pretty clean. So look how clean this is, right? So this is this is an interesting setup. You see a lot. You get a big move up that breaks an all-time high, right? Like a key high, and you don't want to buy up here, the top of the range. Everybody gets wrecked. You almost always get a retracement, and you want to buy in a discount. We talk about buying like below the 50% of a range, and then you want to look for like a high time frame zone. I call them PD arrays. It's kind of like a ICT thing, right? But in this instance, like that could be a bunch of things. It could be a high, it could be a key weekly high. It could be like a fair value gap. It could be an order block, something like that. You're looking for something in a discount, right? And like what price is doing here, like see this rectangle? This is a daily fair value gap, and this is a really key fair value gap because this is like the gap that was left on the impulsive move that broke that high, right? So you can see like look how price is actually just respecting that zone. Like you get some dips into it, so you can basically just bid this level.
God, that's crazy because like when you like before when you circled that high, like in your mind, you have to kind of take a guess that like we're going to come back into this zone because you might just miss it entirely, right? Like if you don't buy, like they don't all come back into that fair value gap. Like could you do it on whiff? Like is whiff going to come back under $2 because there's like a daily fair value gap down there?
Let me do some live TA on whiff. I haven't looked at whiff in a while because none of my bids got filled, and I'm just stuck with my modest sized bag instead of the large manly bag.
Well, I guess that's what I'm asking because like if you just like wait to bid that zone that's way lower.
Look, price comes back. It does like that. I mean, like this is a weekly chart on whiff. This is going to probably end up being a weekly order block, right? So this is a super key high time frame level. Probably not going below this at this point. So I marked that out as like an area of interest. This is like not a good color. Here, that's more visible. All right. And I'm looking at this like recent leg up, right? See the bottom of that order block to where we are now? Like this is like the dealing range I'm using now. So when I talk about like buying stuff in a discount, that's how I'm sort of framing it. And then, I'm basically like if I'm doing like a higher time frame trade, right? Like I'm going to be disciplined and like I'm not going to buy like a 1 hour level, right? I want to buy a level that's good on the weekly. Like if I want to hold the trade for weeks or months. So like this is probably going to keep going up, right? I'm going to keep like making the zone higher and higher and higher. But this like might run up here to say like $5 or something, right? Say that happens. There's going to be a point in time, always happens, even though people don't think it will, where suddenly this thing just kind of like whoop, and then just people start freaking out and it dips. And it's going to dip, from this point, 36% to the top. Maybe it goes into this order block, right? 50% dip. That's a big dip. People are panicking. It's probably running all these lows on the daily. But this weekly zone here, in a discount, right? Because now you're going to be not only below the 0.5, like ideally I like to bid this kind of golden pocket. They call it the OTE, the 0.79 to 0.61 fib, like this zone here, right? So yeah, so at a longer term trade, this is where I would bid. And on like a daily trade, like if I'm holding on a shorter time horizon, like I might select this as like a range depending on where we peak out, right? And I might just be looking on a lower time frame to enter on like a daily or fair value gap or 4 hour. But then I'm not like thinking I'm going to hold that trade forever because I entered on like a 4 hour zone or like a 1 hour zone. Whereas like if you get in on these like weekly zones, it's like a trade that you can actually hold across multiple weeks. It's like super important concept for people is you have to understand the time frame that you're trading on and the time frame that those zones you're trading out of are applicable to. Like you can't make month-long swing trades off of like 15-minute fair value gaps. It doesn't work that way.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. At this point, I'm just a whiff profit enjoyer. I definitely fucked myself because I bought a ton on this wick here, and I like sold it like up here because the chart kind of looked bad to me at the time, and I was kind of iffy on crypto, and I was like de-risking because I thought there's a good chance we kind of ran a bunch of this down here and then went back up.
And maybe you entered on a low time frame.
Yeah,
so
and there's still a part of me that's like, this is possible. Like I could get sub 2, like for sure. But like I don't want to chase that. But that's why I was like, I still want to be exposed. So I looked at the PopCat chart and looked at the Stanley Cup chart, which I'm probably gonna go into now, honestly. But I looked at PopCat and I was like, this is good. Chart's good. It fits in with the meme narrative. I want to be long more Solana memes, so I'll put the exposure here. That's kind of my thought process. So. Mega bullish memes. See if the chat's dropping any memes here. Vibes. So bullish Stan. Only meme coin on Solana I own. Yeah. Love it. Gord's asking about Sheeb. Yeah, I think Sheeb's a good coin. It's basically, it's like in the same category as Doge. I think Sheeb will do well. Like if you go out to normies on the street and talk to them about crypto, they fucking love Sheeb.
that's probably
They don't
their number one.
They don't know what whiff is.
Yeah.
I was playing pickleball with this 65-year-old guy who's just like a crazy DJ and sports bettor, and he just shows me his like crypto portfolio, and it's just he's just got like $16,000 in Sheeb like in his Coinbase wallet, and he's just like, I don't know, I bought it like last bull cycle. I forgot.
He's probably down bad.
He's like, what do you do? Yeah, I mean, he is down bad, so that used to be a lot more. But like, yeah, like I'm not fading that chart. You know, fade that move. That's strong as all hell.
Yeah.
Show them the chart.
Show them the chart.
Show them the chart. Look at that. Not fading that. Bullish. Yeah, I mean, I own a little bit of the Sheebs just for the meme. So yeah, I like it. Vibes is saying I know Degen. I haven't been in Degen. Bybit listing, launching their own L3. Yeah. Actually, I haven't checked the Degen chart in a bit. Oh boy.
Good God.
Vibes, you are right. I am crazy to not own this. Oh man, this is painful because people in the Discord have been showing this for.
So I got a question for you. Like when you let's say you did buy a DGen and you're riding this pump, like there's nothing on the left side of the chart to tell you where this is going. Like what do you do here? Like you just wait for the candles to tell you that it's over? Like what do you do?
It depends on like what your time horizon for the trade is, right? Like there are a lot of coins. Like I'm sure most people listening are like, I don't own that coin and I just want to own it. What do I do? And I'm not going to tell them to like bust out a fib and like outline an OTE into an order block or something. I'm just going to be like, just buy 20 or 30% of it immediately so that you're not in pain. And then just like add on like big dips. And then like it's presumably a cycle long trade. So these like kind of little movements don't matter that much if you're trying to hold it for like a 10x, and then you're not on leverage, right? The second you're on leverage, like you have to frame the trade around something. I could be framing it around like daily levels. I could be framing it around weekly levels. I could be framing it around like hourly levels, right? And the answer to that question is entirely dependent on like the sort of range, like the dealing range you're using for that trade, you know, the liquidity you're targeting, and whether that's like high time frame or low time frame liquidity. Like you can't enter on like sort of like a low time frame setup using like 15-minute support and target like 1 hour liquidity and then just be like, okay, yeah, I'm just going to hold it all the way up.
Well, do you have a simple framework on the exit the way that you do on the entry? Like you said, just buy like 20% of it now. Would you like, you've ran, like let's say you bought it at DGen and you just ran this.
Here's a framework that I think is like not too hard to implement that people can use, right? So you want to be on the daily or the weekly chart, and then you want to identify areas where price kind of went down, consolidated, and then put in like a fair value gap, right? So this is basically going to be a daily fair value gap on this chart, this DGen chart here, and this is an order block, right? This is the down candle on the daily that puts in this like move, right? Now, like if you want to be a little more advanced, this is where I'm framing the trade out of. So now I'm doing what we did before, which is that like, okay, now I'm marking the bottom of that leg up, right? And then I'm sort of tracking it as it goes higher. And I'm saying to myself, I want to just be buying in a key zone that's below the 50 of the range, ideally, 0.61, 0.79 or so, right? So I would be looking at, so first of all, like if I really wanted to own this, I would still buy 20 or 30%, because like it could just keep going, and like you're just gonna kill yourself if it does that, right? So you buy 20 or 30%, and then you're just sort of setting this up on the chart, right? Like this is a key level, the high of this order block, right? So if price say goes up to here and then pulls back, right? You're looking for price to kind of come back into this order block. That would be at the 0.79. That's like a good place to buy, right? Because you also know, like if we lose the bottom of that range, the bottom of the order block, that's kind of like a serious break of structure, right? And while you can still own the coin, right, you might not want to like deploy like more. Maybe you wait to deploy lower or something. Like this leg up is probably over, and it probably needs to consolidate and go again. So this idea of basically like, okay, I want to be in here. You buy your starter bag. You identify like a range on the daily or the weekly, right? So you have this kind of like down candle, then the big candle up. That's your range. You're tracking the bottom of that to price like all the time. And then as it starts retracing, like if it ever pulls back, you're looking for one of these key levels like below the 50, ideally in that zone. That's where you buy. That's how you can kind of frame something, and at least just not be buying in outer space with like no idea what you're doing.
Okay, thanks. I was asking about the exit actually, not how to enter.
Oh,
but it's fine.
Don't sell.
You just never sell. Buy high, sell never.
I mean, I've had a few times where I've sort of like drawn out my little market structure break topping pattern, which is like something that I use, looking for signs of like strong momentum to the downside on the daily or especially the weekly charts.
You've shown back on, I remember like on a Magic Lines episode, you showed like 3 surges that like get weaker over time and then kind of like die out, and that could be
yeah, like that would, that like a bearish divergence on your RSI, like that's a thing people use. It's certainly like anything that, like this stuff isn't, it's like not like I can just tell you how to sell the top. Like if it was that freaking easy, then I'd be like trillionaire, right?
Right, but like if you hold meme coins until they're dead, you don't make any money either. Like it's my opinion that a lot of these things are going to die.
I don't think that Doge is going to die.
But we're talking about DGen right now.
Sure. Like when I'm talking about memes as like a cycle thesis, like I'm talking about like big name memes. Like I'm not talking about
Geo Bowden
or Jews did 9/11 or whatever they're making on Solana these days. Yeah. It's bad.
Yeah, we
do not condone that on this program. Stop making those coins. Those are all going to zero, obviously, for a variety of reasons. Also, this channel is probably now demonetized on YouTube. I realized.
Yeah. Whoops.
Just reading the name of a coin. Sorry. I hate this industry. Lost my train of thought. Yeah, like if you're trading this stuff that's just like it's just like a I don't know. Like I'm a big believer in just taking like your 2x and just keep just shaving it and just free roll yourself.
Yeah.
Like it's very tempting to be like I need to get like 100x. You're not going to get 100x. Like you're just not going to be that guy. Just take your double, free roll the rest of it and just move into another play that you like. You'd probably do a lot better just taking a 2x or a 3x and just constantly just looking for the next play than you will trying to be that guy who hits like mega home runs, because you're probably not going to be that guy. You're probably just going to ride it all the way back to zero.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents.
Nice one.
Yeah. Yeah, Degen's being used on Farcaster. I know. People are tipping. I know. I can't be in everything, vibes. I try to be in everything, but it's so hard. There's so many things to buy during a bull market. But like, I totally agree that it's a good looking chart. It's a good looking chart, and you guys should take a look at it and maybe consider purchasing it. Not an endorsement, but the chart's good. It's a good chart. All right, where are we here in our thing? All right, so here's the last thing here on the investment thesis. AI coins will outperform ETH. This is something I postulated like in the fall. I was a big render shill, been a big render shill for a while.
So far, so good.
So far, so good. There are stronger plays now for sure, but render is kind of like the Bitcoin of AI. I think this thesis is still absolutely true. I feel like the AI cycle really hasn't even hit its like full stride yet. We had an interesting event this week where we had a merger of AI coins.
Yeah, what was that? What happened? What was the merger?
So it was Fetch, which is gonna haunt me because I bought Fetch at like 19 cents or something in the March, and I just paper handed it.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that one.
I also shilled it at like 70 cents and $1.20. I don't know. It's
FET, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what it does. Don't ask me what it does. It has AI in the name. Just let it go. But yeah, Fetch merged with Ocean Protocol and one other coin that I can't remember off the top of my head.
So was that a bullish event for the tokens?
Fetch is sending.
Oh, wow.
Sending.
Look at that magic line you had back there.
This is the weekly chart. This is the weekly chart, but even if I pull up like a modest daily chart, you kind of see what's been happening this year. I mean, we are up a smooth 530% since February.
Good God.
Not a bad return. Yeah, I'm actually trying to get back in this on a perps trade right now. I was actually framing out an entry on this.
I see what you're doing now.
Yeah. Possibly down in here. Possibly, 275 or so. I don't know. I'm going to be watching it. It's we just consolidated and broke out here after another prior leg up. So I think this is going higher, and this is probably going to be one of those moves where you don't get like a really, really nice gentle retrace with like an easy entry, and if you do, like, it's actually just going to rug you. A lot of these strong moves, you typically get like a fair value gap, and you get like a sting into it, and then it's gone, and that's like your entry on the strong stuff. So, yeah, Fetch looks strong as all hell, for sure. AI coins still looking strong. So yeah, let's wrap the thesis there. I'm gonna take this home. A couple other segments. Yeah. So we're 90 minutes in, so I'm gonna rapid fire some of this stuff. Had some changes to the portfolio this week. We bought Bitcoin at 69K. We outlined that trade in the Discord. Worked out pretty well. I actually scalped most of it and left a runner at this point. I'm sure it'll just go to 90K, and I'll be lamenting that trade a few weeks from now, but it is what it is. I think I said Mantle, I allocated a baby amount to. Got to buy more. Fetch, also a baby spot buy, looking to get long in. We bought more Doge. We bought more Pepe. I actually bought more Winner.
The GambleFi.
GambleFi token on ARB. Chart was looking kind of tasty to me. Okay, we're up a little bit already. That's good. Yeah, chart looks decent. Just a small little kind of on-chain play. Thought was interesting. But I've been holding that one since like the very beginning of that token. I actually haven't sold any yet, so I just added a bunch to that. What else did we buy? Oh, I've actually been buying a lot of Kaspa. I don't even know if I've talked about this. Have I talked about Kaspa?
I've never heard of this.
I don't know what it does, man. I don't know. I'm just going to be upfront with you.
Okay.
I have no idea. I don't. It's a trade. It's not a long-term investment. There we go. Where's my Kaspa? Boom. Yeah, the reason I was stacking some spot on this because I like to stack spot on the weekly charts, and I think the weekly chart for this looks good. I mean, first of all, this is a log chart, so this thing looks like it just strong. It's been very strong. This is a strong chart. You're on the weekly. You got strong impulsive moves up, consolidation, another strong impulsive move up, consolidation. Like this, the coin looks very, very good. And then we kind of have like this setup that, you know, I talk about a lot. We had the move that created the new high, that left behind, say it with me, a weekly fair value gap. And I actually just limit bid this. So I just kind of placed some limit bids at the 50% of this weekly fair value gap. And those are nice bids. We had this little sting in there. And this looks good to me. So I'm going to buy I have more bids in there, so I'll just keep buying that zone. But yeah, I think it looks really good. I feel good about it. Don't know what it does.
Kaspa.
Sorry. Kaspa. We bidding. So yeah, that's all my buys for the week. And then what did I sell? I sold ARB, I sold Link, I sold Blur. And all these sells were to basically buy more of the stuff that I said I was more confident in, right? Mm-hmm. Like in selling the ARB, you know, as a kind of like talking about like how I'm just not that bullish on the L2 thesis relative to other things. I would rather use the ARB to buy Doge. I would, and Mantle, which I did. I sold some Link. I mean, all this money's fungible, but like I sold Link, bought Doge. I sold ARB, I bought Mantle. I sold Blur, and I bought some Fetch because I was just like feel better about adding to the AI bags versus my NFT bags at the moment. So yeah, quick run through for the buys and sells there for you guys. Sorry, I'll try to leave more time next program to do this. I still don't know how long all this stuff takes. You know, Eric's got places to be.
Well, before we go,
let's
answer a question for Amos in the chat, who was very polite about it. He's saying, do you think after the ETH ETF gets approved, EigenLayer token will eventually be like high beta ETH? Like maybe like you can use like EtherFi as a proxy for that. Is EtherFi and like the liquid restaking narrative high beta ETH?
I don't have a strong opinion on the liquid restaking narrative. Like I'm gonna be upfront with you. Like I've never understood it. Like I understand what it is and how it works. I've never understood why there's going to be like immense demand for it and why like the yields are going to be there. Happy to be proven wrong. I do think it's going to be like one of the best airdrops ever. It's been like the main thing I've been farming with all my ETH for a very, very, very long time. And I do think these tokens are like interesting trades because you often get like you saw this with Jupiter, right? Where you had the airdrop and the token dumps a bit and then it accumulates and then like absolute Moon City on the Jupiter token. So you might have a similar thing there. EtherFi has been looking pretty nice.
Yeah, with these, I don't like buying the worthless GovCoin. I just like getting airdropped and then I'm not going to buy this.
I mean, ETHFi is like I think it's just the only thing the market has like as a proxy for this trade at the moment. Maybe Pendle. You know, we love Pendle on the program, even though I heavily took profits on my bags. But yeah, I mean, the ETH barely even had a dump on the airdrop. We're at 720 now. Yeah, this was a nice airdrop. Not selling it yet.
Me neither.
Yeah. Yeah. One other chart. I had a lot of good charts to show you guys, but a little long in the tooth. One of the reasons I bought more Pepe is because I pulled up the Pepe ETH chart. Kind of feel like Pepe is just like high beta ETH, to be honest. Does that work there? Yeah. I mean,
damn, what a run.
Just massive base and then just mega move up. So yeah, like I'm expecting a consolidation here and I'm expecting like another mega pump at
so that
some
big
point.
Up leg that was like probably right when you were shilling it at ETH Denver. Like you probably caught that bottom part there.
I got in on like March 3rd. So yeah, I caught a huge chunk of that move, fortunately, which is pretty good. Hookem said it's 79.50, 155 left.
Yeah, well, thank you, Stephen, for saving me from the misery of having to watch a 30 point drubbing.
You're so welcome. I hope the show is more entertaining with you. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it there. Hope that was a good show for you. I know some of you guys had some requests that I was not able to get to, but if you want to drop them in the Alfalfa Discord and the Magic Lines channel for next week, I'll be happy to try to get those to you. We've got a lot of stuff to cover here. It's a big, crazy world. A lot of coins to chart. A lot of ideas to kick around.
Yeah,
So.
we'll be around next week. So.
Yeah, you guys have been great. As always, be sure to give me a follow on Twitter. I don't know if Eric wants follows on Twitter. I don't know if he tweets.
I don't tweet.
He doesn't tweet. All right, so yeah, 0x Magic Lines on Twitter if you want to follow me. Alfalfapod.com's got all our links to the Discord where you can come chat with us and all the other stuff. Please subscribe on the YouTubes if you have not already. Even if you don't listen on the YouTube, just come over to the YouTube. Give us a little sub. The channel's growing. We're trying to keep pumping those numbers. YouTube.com / at irresponsibly long pod, but it should come up if you search us, hopefully. Thank you guys for another lovely evening together. We'll be back same time, same place next week, 5 p.m. Pacific time with a live episode. Bye-bye.
Later, everybody.